139. Let's get to Scream 6, which came out in 2023. It is once again directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett. It stars basically the same cast: Courtney Cox, Melissa Barrera, Jenna Ortega, Jasmine Savoy Brown, Mason Gooding, Skeet Ulrich. Let's see, there's a lot of other people. It's just all messed up. Samara Weaving's in there for a minute. And the synopsis is: in the next installment, the survivors of the Ghostface killings leave Woodsboro behind and start a fresh chapter in New York City. So, as I said, I only saw this one, I think maybe a few months after it came out. Right after I'd watched five, I saw, oh, cool, six is coming out. I got to watch five. And then I watched both very close together. And I think that I've now seen this one probably three or four times. And I think this movie is awesome. Like, it's up there right with the original. I think it's one of the best recent horror installments of, let's say, the last 10 years or more. I think it is so fresh. And just like five, I don't want to repeat myself too much, but it's so engaging. There's such great character work. There's good horror. All these sequences, really, this whole movie to me is very, very memorable. And I'll get to that in just a little bit with specifics, but the plot is surprisingly pretty good. It's not messy, but it's still got enough detail and world building to it to make it really pretty satisfying. And talking about other similar franchises, this one and five, they're both about 2 hours. This is one of the only franchises, one of the only installments that I'm fine with it being 2 or more hours. Like, this movie and five could have been 2.5 hours and I would not mind it at all. I think that the pacing, I didn't mention this with five, but I think the pacing for both of these movies is pretty perfect. Like, I'm never really bored. I'm always never thinking, oh, just like, let's get on with it. This is getting too ridiculous, too messy. I'm always with the characters. I'm always fully on for whatever's going on. And I think that that's a kind of a rarity in this day and age, with especially being the sixth installment in a horror franchise. You don't really see that very often. So that's fantastic. I think Melissa Barrera, Jenna Ortega once again are awesome. And I think that character, especially for Barrera, she is not only such a strong character in how she overcomes certain things, but just that emotional level and that inner conflict of the cancel culture thing, where people think she's this crazy nut because she killed this person. And then when she tries to defend herself or fight back, she's seen as even crazier. And then Jenna Ortega's character fighting with her, saying, I want to live my life. I'm not going to let a few days, one event change my life forever. I'm going to go on with it. You can stay behind and live in the past. I'm not going to do that. And then that flipping back on Melissa Barrera and thinking, well, am I doing that? Am I holding my sister back? Am I being too protective? Am I wasting my own life hanging on this? Who am I? Like, because of the legacy of her family or their family. So all that stuff, incorporating cancel culture, very modern ideas, very fresh ideas, is really, really well done. Very interesting, very strong writing. The sequence at the beginning with Samara Weaving, perfect. Like, one of the best openings for a horror movie in a long, long time. And again, it has that rapid fire machine gun stabbing death, which is really effective, as I said, with part five. And the violence is really strong in terms of the effects, the makeup. The thing that I've talked about, I think, on other podcasts, or at least at some point before, is I know it was kind of controversial for some reason, but the shotgun sequence in the gas station, amazing. Where Ghostface is walking around with a shotgun, blowing people away, instead of using a knife. Again, such a simple thing. Just like with the rapid fire stabbing, it's such a simple, hey, why not give him a shotgun this time? Love it. That is one of the best sequences in the whole movie. Just the visual of that is fantastic. And like I said with five, like, the set pieces like that one are like surprisingly memorable. And thinking of some others, like the moment with the psychiatrist where Ghostface stabs him through the window, the subway sequence where it's Halloween and everyone is wearing Ghostface masks and Michael Myers masks, and there's that, oh God, where is he? Is he here? Is he not? I think that you could make that really cliched and goofy, but it's not. It's very, everything feels fairly grounded, and it feels like, all right, well, I'm on a subway on Halloween. What am I expecting? It doesn't feel that far fetched. The sequence in Courtney Cox's apartment where she's attacked by Ghostface, another great sequence. The ladder escape across the apartments, like it's such simple things. Like it's not some crazy action set piece that has a bunch of effects, or it's just very normal, kind of mundane ideas that through direction, through performance, whatever else, makes it really intense, nail biting, suspenseful. It's funny at times, violent. Oh, and also, one of the biggest issues with all movies like this most of the time is the third act for me. Like, I think in Halloween, even some of the other Scream movies, is the third act is almost always the weakest. I'm like, well, we get who the killer is. Like, let's just wrap it up. It always goes on too long. We know this person is going to survive, this person isn't, whatever. But in both of these movies, more so in this one, but still in five, the third acts are top notch. I think especially in this one where there is the theater sequence and there's not only the reveals, which I mean, reveals are what they are, but that whole action sequence about like climbing on the to the second level, the multiple ghost faces doing the like knife cleaning little move, like it's really iconic, it's really intense, and I feel like even though this movie is again 2+ hours, I'm like fully in. I would watch 3 hours. I don't want to keep saying that, but it really is true, and I really don't say that very often. I almost always want a movie, especially with something like this, to be shorter. Most of the new Halloween movies could be shorter, even though I like how they incorporate certain bigger societal ideas, also kind of like cancel culture and dealing with trauma and all that. So the third act is really, really, really good. And I mean, it's not really that deep, but this family having had the death of one of their children, one of their siblings, and then blaming Melissa Barrera, because obviously she did kill him, but he was also a killer himself. But her dealing with, all right, am I going to become a killer? Am I just like my dad? Am I not? Am I going to be better than that? And then trying to make the world better for her sister as well, and her sister dealing with her own demons. And I love this movie. I was not expecting at all to love it this much, but thinking back, there aren't many like it that are at this level of execution. And what I mentioned with five, and I'm glad that there's a little bit less in this one with the meta stuff explaining the franchise rules. There's like a couple of scenes with this, but I'm glad that they toned that down a little bit. I don't mind that, since that really does go back all the way to the original because of the stab movies within the movie. Like, I'm fine with that, but I'm glad they toned it down a little bit because we don't need that much of that, I think, in my opinion. Maybe I'm in the minority, but I don't always love that. So that's toned down. The score is excellent. I think it looks really good. The lighting is very strong in both of these movies. So I really, I don't, it's not some landmark movie. It's not like best of the generation or anything like that. Spoiler, it is a 5 out of 5, heavy 5 out of 5. One of my favorite horror movies now of all time. But there aren't really many flaws to it. I can understand if this isn't your favorite movie ever or your favorite of the franchise. I get that. I think it's one that I know some people really, really love, like me, and then other people are like, it's another Scream movie. It's good. But I think that it's pretty underrated. I think considering it's called Scream 6, you kind of maybe laugh it off like, oh, well, it's going to be ridiculous. It's not going to be good at all. No chance. But I would give it a chance if I were you. Maybe give it a revisit as well. So I am just so sad that we're not going to be able to see where the sisters go from here. Like, I was just dying even before I knew that 7 was canceled or the actors dropped out. I was like, all right, I want to see where they go, because they explore mental health, trauma, cancel culture, like a lot of very present ideas, especially in younger people. And I was really excited to see where that goes, and I'm curious to see how that they're going to be like, all right, well, 7 now is a completely different set of characters. Like, I'm curious to see how they manage that. I hope they do it well, because I'll still happily go and watch it, and I might even love it. I hope to love it, but I'm just sad that we won't really ever get to see more of Sam and Tara because they are awesome characters, so memorable. Love those actors, and they will definitely be missed for sure. Oh, and also one quick thing about the ending. The whole theater sequence with the ghost face and stab memorabilia, that's I think the design of that room is really, really good. But the death of the father, spoiler, is so like it's meant to be intentionally ridiculous, I think, and maybe even comical to a certain extent, but also horrifying because they have a good way of balancing that tone where he gets stabbed like 30 times in rapid succession, like 10 times more than anyone else in these two movies. And it's just really, really satisfying and like bam, 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 bam. And really, really good ending to the movie and good fitting death for a horrible person, you know? So it's an awesome movie. Cannot say enough about it. Would talk about it over and over and over again. Can't wait to rewatch it again for like the fifth time. Great, great movie. That is a heavy 5 out of 5.